So unlike most of the questions that I've been answering with this one actually comes with a part file, and the question is, I'm confused on how to make the details of the part. The curved side, the cylinder on the side, the cuts on the body, it's not working on a curved face. And it's true, it's really hard to make sketches on curved surfaces, and when the entire part is a curved surface, it gets really tricky, but we have to use something called planes. And using planes, there's a lot of different stuff that we can do. So this is what we have so far, which isn't bad, but for example, this little bit here is supposed to be a tab, isn't connected to this as well as it should be, right? So let's just get rid of that. And see it's 1.197, so I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to make a new sketch on this. And instead, I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to make sure that this is 1.197 across. And then I'm going to make a vertical constraint. I think it's a vertical constraint with that midpoint and this origin here. Then I'm going to project geometry of all of this, and I'm going to trim off these bits here. That's going to go away. I'm going to temporarily delete that so I can trim this without it yelling at me, and I'm going to put those right back in place again. Now I made sure that I had that lined up ahead of time, so that's the midpoint that I had before with the rectangle. So these lines are equally spaced out, and now when I go to extrude, I can just click on that little middle bit, and I'm also going to go down the 1.197. That's what the student originally had. Now it doesn't look like that, it looks like a circle, a round part. So what we have to do is make a work plane on this surface, and we have to reference some other work plane so we can make it tangent. So I clicked on this, see if I can get a better 3D view. You have three work planes that already go through this as a default. So I clicked on the XY work plane, then I clicked on this surface, and now I can make a sketch here. And now I have a sketch on a flat surface as opposed to the round one. I'm going to project the geometry of the outsides. I'm going to make a circle. And I really thought that would do it, but apparently not. So let's just go out to these edges here. So my 1.197 from there to there is apparently much larger than from there to there. That's okay. I'm going to trim the top half of this here. I'm going to draw in lines over here. And now I have dark lines all around this bit. I'm going to say cut, that, distance. I always like to change it to all in case I change my mind on thicknesses later. I'm going to right click on this and turn off visibility. I can still go back to it if I want to, but it's not going to clutter up my view in the meanwhile. The cuts on the side, I can just make a new sketch on this YZ plane. And let's look back at the picture. It has just like a little bit of an arc there. So if I right click and go to slice graphics, I'm looking at a section view. I can project the geometry to see this bottom line here. I can use that as a reference point, and it's hard to see without using the actual part, but I'm going to make some kind of a rectangle possibly. Yeah, maybe a rectangle. You know what? I'm going to make the top lines of my rectangle all construction lines. So I'm going to highlight them all, right click, construction. Now it's just a reference for me, so I know how far in it goes, I know how wide it is, I might even know where it starts and it stops if I measure from each of the ends. And now I'm going to use a 3-point arc to go from here to here. and define where the middle of that is. Maybe. I take that back. What we're actually going to do is add in one more line. It'll be below center here. It's going to go straight up first, and that will also be a construction line. So this shape is going to go straight up for a little bit before it gets to an arc. There, and there. Okay, and I'm going to cut this out. See, this is in the middle of my part, so I have to tell it it's a symmetrical cut. It's going both directions. Removing material, and it's all. Now it's not quite so hard of an angle as what I have it drawn at, so I'm going to go and grab a fillet, and from a 3D fillet I can round out these inside edges here. And here. There. And there. There we go. Doesn't look so terrible. Let's look at the back side. So there's going to be another thing where I want to make a plane. And actually, let's just do it like this. Let's look at this plane. We'll make a new sketch on it. And let's see if I can't rotate around so I'm looking at this side instead. And slice graphics. I want to get rid of just the front half. I'm looking at the back half. Looks like it's cut down a little bit lower than this side is. And I can't tell if it's actually cut down that much lower or it's just because this is being propped up with that thing. Let's assume this is actually cut down lower though, because I think where that little bubble is where that little bubble is. So it's down just a wee bit more. To me it looks like a good job for a rectangle. I want to project my geometry here so I can see where my edges are. Sometimes it likes that. Sometimes it doesn't like that. Yeah, let me get those edges. That's good enough. I'm going to match up that point with this line, that point with this line, and try and figure out how much lower it actually should go. And that would just be a concern with this line here. Once you think you got it, tell it to cut to remove material. Actually, let's go ahead and unslice our graphics so we can see what's going on. Yeah, because I don't want to cut off of that side. I want to cut off of this one over here. So when I go to extrude, I'm cutting the top half of that way. Changing my distance again. And there we go. And it looked like from the sketch, from the drawing, this has like a flat face on it. And we don't have that yet over here. I want to see if I can do a chamfer. If not, I'll show you a different way to do it. Yeah, it kind of lets us do it, but it's going to keep that as a curved surface. So I'm going to say cancel. And instead I'm going to cut this from the side here. So I'm going to go to my YZ plane, make a new sketch there, and this is again right in the middle of the part. See how the plane goes through the middle there? You should have a good idea what this angle is. I don't care about these lines here. What I do care about is that we get roughly the right angle for this, and you could measure that from this line down here, which would be the same as this line down here. So I'll make this into a construction line, and imagine, if you will, taking a protractor and seeing at what angle that would be cut to this horizon. And 51 sounds like a silly number, so let's call it a 45. We're going to be cutting material again, and I'm going to cut it from both directions. Change my distance to all. And now here I have a nice flat surface that I can make a sketch on. And it looked like, if I go to project my geometry of this, that there was some kind of a flat piece here. It's hard to tell what exactly that would look like, so I'm just going to go down a wee bit. I'm going to add, it looks like that comes up a little, like a half circle. And I'll trim off some of this extra stuff. I think I want those to be tangent. Same thing there. And then I'll just extend that out. Where's extend? There we go. Oh, it doesn't want to extend it, huh? Well, let's add a line then. Oop. There, I missed. I see. It's a little line segment that got away from me, so I'll try and snip that off of each side. See if we can extrude that a little. That's way too much. I would like to look at this from the side and see what exactly this looks like. I'm going to change the direction and still add material and make this something small. And that's probably too small. Let's actually go two directions with this. We'll make this, let's go 0.1. So it's a little tough to say what this is supposed to look like, especially since I don't have a greatest shot of what's going on back here. But I can tell there is some kind of a hinge there. So we're going to make another sketch on this plane, YZ. I'm going to go to Slice Graphics again. And it is tough to tell what exactly is going on. But we're going to guesstimate a little bit and say that that is going, actually maybe I want to change that. Let's take another look. Yeah, this should be fine. I'm going to take away my slice graphics so I can see what's happening. 3D model, extrude that, both directions, adding material, make it go like, I don't know, 0.75, 3/4 of an inch. And I think at this point, because those don't quite mesh up the way that I want it to, I'm going to make a new sketch here. So on the top of this surface, I'm going to project the geometry. I'm going to make a new sketch here. On the top of this surface, I'm going to project the geometry. And I'm going to loft between that surface and